Hi, Julio here again, talking about Have a Go Spaghettio. What's Have a Go Spaghettio? Well, it's the application of Albert Ellis's rational emotive behavior therapy in daily teaching practice. Today we're going to talk about It's Not Fair. So this is the ABC theory developed by Albert Ellis, provides us a counselling paradigm. And it's basically that whatever happens today, it has an effect on emotional and behavioural. There's an emotional and behavioural consequence, but B has something to do with the strength of emotion and the choices we make. An A equals C philosophy is a belief that when something happens at A, how I feel at C and the choices I make are made by A. In other words, it or they, she, whatever, is making my upset and making me do what I do. This, according to Albert Ellis, is an irrational outlook. An A plus B equals C outlook is, yes, A has something to do with how I feel and how I behave, but how I view or perceive or interpret or think about what's happening. It also plays a role in the strength of emotion that I experience and the choices I make. So we want to help our young charges develop an A plus B equals C outlook. So when they're capable of thinking about their thinking, when they reach the stage of metacognition, they will be able to think about what it is that they're thinking about a situation and decide whether or not it's a rational perspective and then do something about it. So in the early childhood setting, we're providing the tools, the techniques, the understandings, the insights that will help them learn how to think about their thinking, how to self-regulate, internal locus of control, develop high frustration tolerance, and of course to always understand that what they do and other people's opinions of them are not who they are. They're worthwhile no matter what. So that's I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking. So that's the ABC theory. So it's not fair. Well, what's not fair? Children may feel frustrated, upset, disappointed when they perceive that they are being treated unfairly, whether in games, at home, or in social situations. Saying that's not fair is a way for them to articulate those emotions. It's not fair. But why isn't it fair? It's not fair. Albert Ellis would argue, and I would suggest that it's not fair because they're not getting what they believe they should get. And this kind of thinking, or Albert Ellis calls that masturbatory thinking, the belief that I must or should get what I want or not get what I don't want. So it's not fair. So that's a brain bully outlook. I must get my way. It's not fair when I don't. Life should give me what I want. And when it doesn't, it's really bad. It's catastrophe. So whilst it might feel that way, we want to relay the idea that it's better to prefer that you get what you want, and hopefully that is what happens majority of the time. But then again, but then not to expect that we should always get what we want when we want it. So it's kind of flexible preference thinking compared with rigid must thinking. One's rational, one's irrational. Brain friend, brain bully. So we address this in the counselling setup by using language and concepts taught in the classroom through the Success Helper, Have a Go Spaghettio Success Helper approach to social emotional learning. There's 6 competencies that we teach to children. And when the child comes to counselling or comes to see the counsellor, we'll have a good chat and we'll talk about what's happening. And we'll refer to the Have a Go Spaghettio Success Helper chart, or the Have a Go Deadlio Success Helper chart. We want children to develop an A plus B equals C outlook, meaning when something happens at A, I can regulate how I feel if I consider something in a rational, brain-friend thinking way. Just to revisit the charts here. On the left there we have the Have a Go Deadly Success Helper chart. We incorporate the language of gammon thinking and deadly thinking. Gammon is what First Nations people regard as you're kidding yourself. It's not true. There's no evidence to support that proposition, whereas deadly is rational thinking or brain-friend thinking. So gammon is brain bully, deadly is brain-friend, success helper thinking. Deadly thinking makes deadly behaviours and deadly feelings. So a deadly mindset is a rational headset, and rational definition of rational, according to Ellis, is that rational thinking helps us get what we prefer to have, to work towards our goal, to feel happy. So that's what a rational mindset outlook is. An irrational outlook or constructed view of the self, others, and the world doesn't get what we want a lot of the time. In fact, it gets what we don't want, and so we say that stops us from being happy and successful. So they're the two charts here. So when children come to the counsellor, myself or a counsellor, we're using the concepts of rational emotive behaviour therapy to help them to learn how to self-regulate and how to look at things in a manner that will help them manage themselves successfully in the trying situation. And that's when we incorporate the use of the emotional thermometer and also the catastrophe scale. But what's important to, what's very helpful to the counsellor in this situation is the confidence that the children have been learning about this in the classroom, preferably across the school, where children understand that, if I want to be happy and successful, these 6 competencies, qualities, capabilities can help me do that. But these are they're founded on rational brain-friend thinking. So if that's taught in the classroom, then you've got something to work with as a counsellor. Otherwise, you, as a part of the counselling process, would involve teaching the children these ideas. So having these taught in the classroom is a benefit. Also, it's important to emphasise here that the ideas, the principles taught through the Have a Go Spaghetti-O approach, success helper approach, are the same principles and strategies used by agencies outside the school. So if a child and his or her family are referred by a general practitioner to a psychologist, the psychologist will invariably use very similar strategies and ideas. And quite often children have said to me, older children have said, when I go and see my counsellor, we talk about similar stuff. So we're taking a paradigm, a counselling paradigm, a way of helping people in a counselling setting beyond the school, but we're bringing them into the school. So that's a very important thing to be aware of, I think, as educators and counsellors. So to continue on the counselling theme, as a counsellor, a child will come to see myself. We may talk about the incident or the event, the happening that's causing frustration, or the child will believe. We will talk about that. Or we might just start off with doing a drawing or doing some origami, and we'll see what transpires. But it's useful to identify what happened. Well, what happened in the classroom that you didn't like? I had to pack up my Lego. I wanted to continue. The teacher told me to pack up. It's not fair. She's mean, or he's mean, or they're mean. This comes from an outlook of I should get what I want. It's not fair when I don't. And if people don't give me what I want, they're mean. So that's what brain bully thinking is saying. That's brain bully would be saying, it's not fair. I should be able to do what I want. You are stopping me from doing what I want. You're making me feel angry. That's kind of a brain bully approach. So we will talk about that, and the child will be familiar with the concept of brain bully. Brain bully thinking is unhelpful thinking. And the child won't walk out of the office all of a sudden cured, in inverted commas, of the tendency to believe that things aren't fair. But the ideas that you can regulate how you feel are reinforced. It's reinforced in the counselling context, but it's also reinforced back in the classroom. And some questions you might ask the child is, do you sometimes get your way, and is that fair? Well, yes, they say, well, when I get what I like to get, it is fair. Can you expect to get what you want all the time? This is a message that children receive quite often. In talking to parents, parents will say, well, look, I'm trying to get my child to understand that you don't always get what you want. And it's not necessarily a catastrophe when you don't. One parent said, I tell my child, you get what you get, and you don't get upset. But it's certainly something that parents want their children to appreciate and learn. So whilst children are externally controlled in the sense that we are managing them, we want them to get to the point where they can internally manage their frustrations in difficult circumstances. And then we say to the child, well, what can you do when you feel like that? When you think it's not fair, what can you tell yourself? Excuse me. What can you tell yourself when you think something's not fair? You can ask yourself, well, this is the worst thing that can happen. Will I be able to do this at another time? Even though I want to do it now and I can't, is it the worst thing that can happen? Those kinds of questions you can introduce to the child, which are brain-friend questions. Brain-friend thinking says that I don't always get what I want, but it's not the end of the world when I don't. So all of these ideas reinforced, discussed in the counselling context can happen because of the scaffolding provided children's learning in the classroom. They're learning that thinking, feeling and behaving are interconnected. They understand the emotional thermometer and the catastrophe scale. The teacher often refers to the success helper chart, the have a go spaghetti-o success helper chart, the have a go deadly-o success helper chart. As a matter of course, it's intuitive, it's automatic. Feedback is fed back to those competencies the children demonstrate in the classroom, the 6 success helper competencies. That takes courage. That's what I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking. You're hanging in there. That's tough stuff, but you're hanging in there. Well done. Let's give it a try, banana pie thinking. You help someone then. That's yellow success helper. I can cooperate. G'day, mate thinking. So this language, and it reinforces the ideas and the competencies that we want children to develop. So even though children at this age will not intuitively or can't think about their thinking, when they get to that stage of their development, they'll be able to employ the skills, the understandings, the knowledge that they've learned throughout school and apply it in their daily practice. So just to reiterate, we want children to adopt, develop, and build on, reinforce, so it becomes intuitive and automatic, and brain-friend thinking, or success helper thinking. And that is, sometimes I get what I want, sometimes I don't. I don't like it, it's not the worst thing that can happen. I'll still want good things, but I can't have them all the time, and that's okay. I can handle this. Frustration tolerance, which is a purple success helper capability. So this is the mindset that we want to reinforce, teach, help children internalize, because the research says, the theory says, our rational emotive behavior therapy tells us that a rational mindset, attitude, philosophical outlook is helpful to us. An irrational brain bully way of thinking is unhelpful to us. So that's when a child leaves the counselling session, we reinforce these ideas, we remind ourselves that that's what we're working on, it's work in progress, and it's also important to let children know that they won't change the way they think about stuff unless they do the work. They have to practice what it is that we've been talking about. So when the child, when we've finished our discussion and our chat and our origami and our drawings, and we've identified what's happened, and we've talked about how the child was feeling and how the child behaved in response to what happened, and we suggest ways in which they can help themselves and feel better. Other strategies would be for them to practice deep breathing or take themselves away from the situation, to ask the teacher, saying, look, I feel a little bit angry at the moment. Can I go and sit outside the classroom for a while? And this is something that can be negotiated with the teacher. And this is an effort at emotional self-regulation. So that could be reinforced, that can be acknowledged by the teacher, which is a purple success helper capability. So when the child leaves the counselling situation, we will have agreed set success helper goals. Have a go spaghetti of success helper goals. And for this person who quite often thinks something's not fair because they're not getting what they want, and they're developing a way of thinking, or a rigid way of thinking that says that I should always get what I want, it's not fair when I don't, we want them to focus on their purple success helper capabilities, which is, I can handle this, I don't always get my way. So we would agree that maybe that's something that we can monitor. So next time we feel really, really upset about something, remind ourselves that we can handle something, even though it feels really bad. It's not the worst thing that can happen. And again, that would be referring to the catastrophe scale. An important one to focus on, and this is something I get, all children to focus on, is the idea of I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking. The idea that when I don't get what I want, and I do feel angry, and the teacher speaks to me about my behavior because it's not appropriate, it's success stopper behavior, that's not me. I'm still okay. I'm still a worthwhile crocodile, even when I make mistakes. So the I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking has got nothing to do with actions. That's a given. It's a constant. And also, excuse me. Also, if a child has been, if something seems unfair because another child has achieved something, or is given something that they haven't got. A yellow success helper attitude is, well done on getting that, good on you, knowing that there'll be times when you also get rewards and acknowledgement and positive feedback. So there would be the three success helper capabilities that we would focus on. There are success helper goals. I think it's important for children to leave a counselling situation or session with some agreed goals to work on, and we'll review them next time we meet. It's very important. Hello again. Using story time storybooks, videos that children enjoy. You can use your knowledge, I'm talking about as an educator, teacher, counsellor, you can use your understanding of rational emotive behaviour therapy theory and the ABC theory of emotional disturbance paradigm, and you can apply it in your interpretation of what stories are telling us and telling the children, and you might question the children on certain things that come up in stories. Now this is a story that I came across on the internet. It's called It's Not Fair by Anita Harper and Mary McQuillan, and there's a link to that video there, and a couple of things that are mentioned in the story. It's not fair, and it makes me mad is used there. So we might use those examples of saying, well, is it, whatever it is, making the cat mad? Or is it something about the cat that's making the cat mad? Or is it something about the cat's thinking? Are they using brain-body thinking? Or are they using brain-brain thinking? Because the idea and the use of these terms in stories like, oh, it makes me mad, or it made me really mad, we're reinforcing the idea that things extraneous to us make us act and feel as we do, and we want to challenge that concept or that developing philosophy. So that's an example of a way in which we can apply our understanding of the ABC theory of emotional disturbance via the Have-A-Go-Spaghetti-O success helper approach to social emotional learning. And it adds another dimension to our teaching agenda, schedule, or delivery, because literacy has this emotional literacy that we are focusing on here when we are incorporating the ABC paradigm. So we're not just teaching kids about language and how it entertains us and how interesting it is. We're also We're also critically analysing what it means according to our understanding of the Success Helper chart. So this is just one example, and you can apply this in many situations. One thing I know about educators, classroom teachers, is they are very, very creative, and once they have a foundational theory, then they can create a lot of fantastic learning opportunities for their children. This is the Have-A-Go-Spaghetti-O song again. I keep revisiting this. Kids love it, and it's a great way to start the day. To remind children that the day as it unfolds will present with lots of really good bits, happy bits, but also there'll be bits that aren't so happy. But we can manage ourselves successfully if we apply what we're learning through the Have-A-Go-Spaghetti-O Success Helper chart. So this is all about fun in learning, projecting an attitude of enthusiasm and optimism, but also being mindful of the fact that sometimes, there'll be stuff that we don't like, and we can learn to manage psychologically by applying our understanding of the Have-A-Go-Spaghetti-O, Have-A-Go-Deadly-O Success Helper way of teaching, which is basically important. It's important to remind ourselves that when we teach this stuff, we're helping children understand the ABC theory of emotional disturbance. That how we feel and act at sea, it relates to what happens, of course, but also our thinking has a role to play in the intensity of how we feel and the choices that we make. So we want to set our children on the road to internal locus of control. The ability to self-regulate by checking in on what it is they are telling themselves about what's happening. But in the meantime, at this tender age, this young age, we're giving the children the tools that they will be able to use to do that. And lastly, we'll finish on an Albert Ellis quote. This one here is, "There are 3 musts that hold us back. I must do well, you must treat me well, and the world must be easy." This is what characterizes an irrational, rigid outlook. I must do well. When I set myself goals, I must achieve them. If I don't, somehow that reflects my inadequacy, my failure as a person, etc. You must treat me well. Life must be fair. You must always treat me fair. You must like me. Allow me to do what I want when I want to, etc. And of course, you will, in your own experience, have come across situations where people, for whatever reason, don't appear to like you. What do you do about that? Does that reflect your worth, or do you hold on to the idea that you're always worthwhile, crocodile, that someone's opinion of you is not you? And the world must be easy. So this is not the reality. It's not my reality anyway, because there's lots of challenges, and it's how we deal with them that is what's important, I think. So anyway, till next time, I bid you farewell. Have a go spaghetti-o, and give it a try, banana pie.